We are
Good.
good now. Hi.
Good.
I didn't even
Hi.
say hi to you.
Hi.
You are
Great
like, I
to
don't even
see
know where
you.
to start with describing you because to me, you're like a lot of things. So I'm going to let people just figure out for themselves who you are. Describe yourself or introduce yourself.
I am Tina Lane,
Hmm.
and I am married to Chris Lane.
Hmm.
We own Pinnacle Tattoo,
Hmm.
and then I have Gold Dust Cosmetic Collective. So
See,
you're
to me,
right.
like
There are lots of
that's
things.
like that's nothing because to me, you're like tattoo family royalty here in Corpus, and some people will be like, "Pfft." But I
Some
think
people be
it's
like,
true.
"Pff,"
Like, there's
right?
people that have been here in town, like yourselves, long enough to where it's like, yeah, you've had a lot of artists go through y'all shop, including yourselves,
Mhm.
that have done so much for the community that it doesn't begin to describe, oh, we own a tattoo shop. Like, that's not it at all. Do you feel that way? Did I just throw that on you?
No, no. I really appreciate that
I'll go a
sentiment.
little closer.
Yeah, I really actually appreciate that sentiment. I think it's funny, as I'm sure you probably get a similar response when people are talking to you about the um, dynasty that you're creating with your family, right? And how do you put that into words? It's almost indescribable because it's something you feel.
Sure.
What we do, we love the community.
Hmm.
The community loves us, and or they don't, and you still forge forward and thrive. But what we do professionally is tattoo,
Sure.
but what we do for a living is engage and give.
It's funny you say that. If I can pause real quick, just because when you said we're part of the community, we give back to the community, I was talking to almost everybody that we've been discussing things with here on this table,
Mhm.
talking about businesses here in Corpus. And like you said, there's certain families, there's certain people locally that over the years have been there. And the only way they've sustained or lasted as long as they have is by being in the community, not
Yeah.
necessarily just a name brand
Mhm.
where you can see those people at HEB or you see them places and they talk to you like, oh, that's so and so, so and so. Like for
Right.
me growing up, there were certain businesses where I'm like, oh man, look, I saw Bart Brazelton,
Yeah.
or I saw Bill Cornelius from the church, or I
Right.
saw this person. And it used to be you could see like HEB and Whataburger people, but they
Sure.
took off, so
Sure.
we can't see
They
them
did.
anymore.
They did.
But that's the fun part about being a small business
I think so.
and a community like ours, where over time, if you give back, you become part of the community.
Right. So, when we opened Pinnacle, you are a new business. You may not be new to your business, but you're cultivating a new business. You, a realtor, you had plenty of experience, but then when you began this brand, everything you do, you eat, sleep, breathe, think, everything, it's all consuming
For
your
sure.
your business, right? How do you build a business without a community?
You can't.
You cannot.
No.
Well, why would a community trust you if you're not going to invest in them?
Sure.
There'd be no reason, right? There are so many people who do what we do. The market is flooded. So many
Same
people
here.
who do what you
Oh
do,
yeah.
right? But thankfully, all of our phones are ringing. And it's not because we're the masters at our craft, maybe, but it is because the commitment to yourself, to your service, to your community, to life, to life
I would say holding yourself at higher standards. I
every
think we
day.
all go through life and we continue to, or I hope most people do. It's like, hey, look, this is what I've been able to accomplish. What else can I do?
Hmm.
What else can I do?
Hmm.
And every year, you're kind of competing with yourself, which is really hard
Every day.
because people can. The hardest critic is yourself. It's like,
Right,
okay, last year I did this.
right,
I really want to do this much this year, or maybe I should focus on these things.
right, right.
And so with y'all, the reason I say what I've said a while ago is because I see you everywhere. And I'm like, how is she able to do this? And not only you, but everybody else with you.
Yeah,
And y'all have so many ladies that I've seen, and y'all have done these things for community and these different events.
yeah,
And that's kind of why I wanted to really ask you to be here. You
yeah,
messaged me,
yeah,
and I'm like, I was going to reach out to you
yeah,
because I just
yeah,
want to know more about you
yeah.
because people see us or see anybody online you don't really know. You're like, okay, I see that post. That's a great photo, or that's a
Hmm.
great. Oh, there's that event today. Like, what are you like doing throughout the year that you feel like you're being seen like that? Because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not seeing you.
So, it's interesting that you say that because I really do. I'm a bit of a recluse, to be
Really?
very honest.
You
Yeah,
think so? Really?
I'm not really a social person. Um, I am social at work,
Yeah.
and I love that engagement. But then I'm tired and I want to decompress and de-stress and love my husband,
And just be at
right?
home and
Just
cook.
be
And,
home,
yeah.
right? I don't necessarily want to cook,
You don't
but
cook? Who cooks in y'all's house?
my husband.
Really?
I mean, I will, but it's not my thing. But when it comes to cultivating your business, it's like cultivating your being.
Mm.
You can't. It sounds so cliche, but you can't grow without giving.
Sure.
You
Oh,
just
100%.
can't. You can't.
100%.
And when we had Pinnacle, Gold Dust wasn't even a conception at that point. All I could think about was, for the first time in my life, I now am in a position to where I can help others, and so that's when I began really just, it wasn't even so much donating monetary things at that point, or anything monetary at that point. It was my time,
Sure.
which translates to a monetary value, but at that point it was just my time. And so I got really involved with the city of Corpus Christi and cleaning up, and it was working with Heritage Park, and then the downtown, and the beaches, and it first started with environmental aspects, and then it got into the homeless, and the evolution of things. I realized at that point how much giving gave to me, and I loved it. I loved the people that I was able to meet and that I was able to cultivate these friendships with. They were different friendships, because when you have a servant's heart, you're attracting a different person
Sure.
to you, and those people become your people. And it's like a little army of do good.
That's kind of been our mission. Earlier in the week, we started doing, we're trying to run like a real business.
Yeah.
Usually we just wing it. We've
Yeah.
been winging it for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It's working.
And so but it's frustrating and it's stressful. So one of those things we've tried to do this year is actually have meetings. And
Yeah.
one of these meetings, we're like, hey, let's focus a little bit more on the volunteer work this year. For like what you said, I want to be more involved. I want to give back. I feel like we do a lot of client stuff, but really giving back, and especially just your time, when there's so many efforts out there and so many different organizations. Like if you post like, hey, who needs volunteers, you'd be surprised how many people will just start throwing things all the time that people need.
I don't know. I think I'm going to interject and kind of cut you off. I think that you need to give yourself some grace. We see ourselves differently than other people do.
Sure.
And, you probably don't remember this, but about 10 years ago, Chris and I were walking out of Academy, and you stopped, both of us, and you said, hey, hi, you're the Lanes. I'm Gino, and I just want to say thank you. And I paused.
kind of remember this.
I paused and I said, for what? And you said, for being a part of the community. And those kinds of interactions mean everything to me, because there are moments in time where you've touched somebody for whatever reason. I don't know what it was that you saw that we did. I have no idea.
If I remember it now, I'm pretty sure y'all were in black. And it's pretty sure it was by the door.
Pretty rude.
And I think I wear black all the time too. I like that we're like matching right now.
Yeah.
No, I do remember that. I remember seeing y'all, and I think at the time I just thought very highly of y'all, because I went, wow, this is a really, like, people throw the term power couple around a lot.
Yeah.
And there's times when people do that. I'm like, no, that's not a power couple. But for y'all, I thought back then, like, this is an actual couple that is doing a lot of big things.
Well,
and
I think
think
that
that's why
term
I
is
did
a
that.
broad term, right? And it
Sure.
means something different to all of us. So, let me wrap up something really quick, though. Like, going back to what I was saying, giving yourself some grace. You have been an integral part of the Bend and Beyond forever. But as you've grown and as you've evolved, you have brought more magic to whatever it is that you're doing and you're touching, But when we're always looking over here and further, we sometimes forget to see what we do. So I think that you have also done more than you are giving yourself credit for. And sometimes we need to pause and just appreciate that.
I think
So
that comes
thank
with
you.
age. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that comes with age. And, people go, oh, I used to live in the radio. I'm like, I didn't do anything on the
Yeah.
radio. I just woke up early. I slammed an energy drink
Yeah.
and I just tried to make light of the morning drive back before people had all the different streaming options they
Right.
have now.
Right.
Spotify, Pandora,
Right. Right. Right.
Apple, whatever those different things are. And so for me, it was just having fun. And Rex's best advice ever was live an interesting life
Yeah.
and you'll have an interesting show. So I was always just trying to be a goofball and just do
Yeah.
fun things. And
Yeah.
then I translated that into this business with I'm just trying to live my life, what makes me happy, and bring along whoever I can. That's
Right.
really what it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what we should all do? Is just strive to be our best and live our best.
Yeah, there was
So,
a story I shared yesterday. And it was about this young dad. He's 35 years old. He's a real big TikTok star. Did you see that guy? He's part of this group out of Houston. It's a little boy. His name's Bryce, and then it's his dad, and he's 35 years old. They have 4 kids. They blew up on TikTok. He's got millions of followers. The little boy ended up getting an opportunity to be on a George Lopez show on NBC, and so this kid's taken off. And then it turned out the dad ended up being diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and within the last like 9 months, ended up sadly passing away 2 days ago. And so I see stuff like that. And like you said a while ago, like you have to kind of just stop. And I got home and my wife was like, hey, what's up? I was like, I'm stressed out. And she's like, well, what do you want to do? I go, I'm going to go play soccer with Gino. I'm like, that's all I wanted to do. Because as hard as we work, like I just had to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why that popped in
well,
my
I
head right
think
now.
those are moments to celebrate, though, and tragedy about that gentleman. Every day is full of tragedy, though, and so if we didn't stop to celebrate those little moments in our life, and that moment might be I'm walking out the door at 5. That's a
Hell yeah.
celebration. You know what I'm saying? If we are always just working for the grind, we lose sight of right now. We received some information yesterday that a really dear friend is stage 4 cancer, and I mean he's like 47. He's 47 years old. It's
young.
metastatic. It's so young, and all day long I just kept thinking, there's so many good people in this world who are not given a fair shake. And then there are so many of the opposite people who are just like,
How are they still here?
how, So I think that, sometimes we have to like just pause and appreciate.
For sure.
And, so that's awesome that you were able to do that
But
yesterday.
but it is like you said, it is a small business, and y'all run a small business for a long time.
Yeah.
You make the rules, you make the hours, you make the exceptions of, am I going to leave today at 5? Am I going to be on my email till midnight? Am I going to be trying to think of something?
Okay, well, let's be really honest. You know the truth about that. Leaving at 5 very, very
Sure.
rarely happens. You know that. You work 70 hours a week.
Oh, we work a nonstop job. Like there's
Every
times where
single-
it's the weekends.
every week.
You miss a phone call, like anytime the phone's
Well,
on.
and it doesn't help that we live in a modern society where just because there's a way to contact somebody, it doesn't mean that you should actually try to reach out to them at that time. Like,
Oh, I get it.
have some
Yeah.
restraints, right? But people don't. And so I don't know how you function, but as soon as I get like a notification of a text message or a message, I'm like, I need to respond to them. I need to acknowledge them so that they don't feel that I have not listened and
Sure.
that they're not heard, whatever the situation is. And really the truth is like, no, you need to set parameters and boundaries for yourself so that you can better serve everybody. So you can better serve yourself.
I've gotten better over the years where I used to feel the same way. I have to answer this text, this message, this Facebook, this Snapchat, this whatever it was. Now, because I'm going to lose them. But then also, I had to make sure, am I in the right state right now? What am I in? What am I doing? Can I stop this and distract myself with this? It might be a 5-minute call, 15-minute call. Oh, and then I go back over here. But then another call comes in. So there's times where I try to block off just, hey, this is what I need to focus on. This is priority.
Right.
Everything else will be there.
Right.
Now, sometimes do I lose people? Sure.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, but those people were not meant to be you and yours anyway.
Did I really
That's
have
just
them
the way that
anyway?
is. Yeah.
Good point.
That's just the way that
So
is.
if I can interrupt you just because I feel like we can talk about a lot of stuff, but I want to make sure we talk about the most important stuff that you wanted to talk about too. So explain real quick for people that don't know what gold dust is? Because I think
Yeah.
what you've done with that, was that just something like a project you had on the side in the back burner for a long
No,
time and then
no,
finally you took off?
never, never. I'm like a tomboy at heart. I love sports. I've always been an athlete. I am not a girly girl. Like, I'm not wearing the pink and the makeup and all of that. It's just not my jam. Nothing wrong with it. It's just not who I
None of
am.
you.
So, my father had been diagnosed with cancer, and I was in a really good position that I could do volunteer work with the American Cancer Society, and so I did. And they assumed because I was a married to a tattoo artist, and we owned Pinnacle Tattoo, that I was an artist myself.
You do
Which,
this too, right?
yeah, right. They asked if I could be a part of their facility in providing reconstructive tattooing, breasts, nipples, areolas, and brows. And I was really intrigued by that, but also like gobsmacked. No, no,
Had you
no,
done that
never,
before?
no, absolutely not.
So what is that
No,
process of learning that?
it's kind of a
Like, do you
joke.
just bring up
Yeah,
people
it's
in?
kind of a joke.
What do you mean
To be
kind of a
very
joke?
honest, there was no like. It's not like there's a school. There isn't a school. There's like, you know, places that you can go and learn techniques. But, if I'm going to be very honest, and I've said this a million times before, I went to Dallas, and at the time that was like the premier place to go seek
Browse?
training.
Okay.
Right. And I spent 3 days or 4 days, I don't remember what it was. I spent $5,000, and like, I'm going to learn everything I need to know. And then I got on a plane to come home. My husband picks me up. He's like, "All right, are you ready, babe? You know what?" And I'm like, "Sure, sure." And I just spent $5,000. I'm not going to let him down, right?
Were you sure because of the 5 grand, or were you sure?
I had no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, come on. No, sorry.
It's okay. Were you practicing and training on real people, or was it like a pig's head?
So, no. At that training, there's live models. Like,
Really?
you're tattooing
And they're just
people.
volunteering themselves to
They
say,
know
hey,
exactly what they're getting
okay.
into, but like, they don't have money, so they're like, "Cool, do it." And so you do. Well, if that would have been my training, I would have failed. Anybody would fail. Like, you can't learn what you need to
Sure.
know
Well,
to
it's what,
succeed in anything
three
in
days and how many different
3 days.
people?
3 days.
How many people would you guess?
2 people.
Two people?
Good luck. Good luck. We're all counting on you. Don't screw it up. So, I didn't want to disappoint my husband. I didn't want to disappoint my sons. I didn't want to disappoint myself. And so, I just like I had to come in a Jesus meeting with my husband, like, "Hey, listen, this is what they've taught me. Now I need you to teach me."
Yeah.
And
Just actual tattoo techniques, right?
no, I mean, he knows so much about skin. He's been doing this for, nearly 30 years, or however many years now. I think nearly 30 years now. Simple stuff. When you are on a position of the body, how do you spread the skin? Is it a 3-point? Are you like, how are you positioning yourself so that you're best at an advantage to be able to provide the softest results, whatever, all the different dynamics that you need to think about that you don't really think about, and certainly that your instructor in a 3-day period is
Isn't gonna go
not
over.
going over. So my education really began with him. I got the certification that made people feel like they could trust me, but really, he just taught me everything I needed to know. So I'm so fortunate to have him, and then of course the team of tattoo artists that I have.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So you have your own team
Yeah.
that are just within Gold Dust, right?
Right. So we have Elle. And she's a cosmetic and restorative tattoo artist now. And then we have Jenna, who's an esthetician, and then we have Sierra, my daughter-in-law, who is a nurse injector, all the Botox and
Oh, okay. Oh, so
filler
y'all
and all
do
that
more
kind
than
of
just
stuff.
tattoos
Oh
at Gold
yeah.
Dust.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so explain again. What else? What all do you offer there?
All the
Everything?
magic.
Just anything on your
All the
face?
magic. Yeah. So it's all basically aesthetics.
Oh, cool.
So cosmetic tattooing, injections, facials, lashes. That's about it.
Yeah, my wife's been really wanting to check it out, and after we finish this, there's a couple of different things I want to ask you. But
Yes.
it seems like it's one of those things, and going back to helping the city. So when you got that training, was it just to help the city, or was it to expand on those
That
business?
training had one singular purpose:
What was that?
to help people who were overcoming cancer. I never in my wildest dreams thought that somebody would call me and say, "Can I have fuller eyebrows?" It never dawned on me. I also have full eyebrows, and so it
And
just
this
wasn't
is
on my
just when
radar.
they've gone through chemo and they lose hair, right?
Right,
Is
or
that
you
why?
have alopecia, or you have thyroid disease, or you have another autoimmune disorder where it robs you of your follicle,
Yeah.
or you were just living your best life in 1990 and you over tweezed, you know.
You went Pamela Anderson?
I mean, come on, So, I've said this a million times over, and I say it I will say it for the rest of forever. I do believe that gold dust evolved into what it is today because it began with love.
Sure. With
I
helping.
never, I never, it wasn't that, of course, I wanted to make money to sustain, but it wasn't like, I'm going to go into the beauty world and da, 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 that just was never the thing. It's still not my thing. Um, you walk with purpose. And so we see, unfortunately, many people who are fighting their battle with cancer
Still.
today.
So it's not like they're in remission, like they're still fighting, they're trying to get in there.
So, really, in the past about 6 weeks now, we've had 3 new cancer survivors come to us, and they've all come to us before chemo starts
Really?
because they know that they're going to lose their brows and their hair. And so they know that they can find a fantastic scarf or a wig or whatever. There's ways to do that. But they also know that, like, when you don't have eyebrows, it's an immediate, oh,
Wrong.
something might be wrong there.
Sure.
Yeah. And so we have had the luxury of seeing their natural brow, and it helps create a natural
Look,
tattoo. So, you know, there's a lot to be said when we just live every day, like living our best lives. And when somebody comes in who's 30, 35, all 3 of these ladies were under 40, mothers, wives, sisters, and daughters, and they don't know. Of course, nobody knows what tomorrow is, but they truly don't know. They've now been given a diagnosis where they don't know what's happening. That's terrifying.
And they still want some normalcy in their life.
You need
Yeah.
that. We crave that. One day during COVID, I shaved my head, and I loved it. But all of a sudden, people were like coming up and like, "How are you feeling? How are you doing?"
Without even knowing anything, just assuming.
They just assumed, and I just thought, "Oh my God, oh my God." It really evoked something really visceral and ugly within me because I didn't want to feel like I was getting attention that was not mine.
Sure.
But anyway, just I regress. That was the purpose of Gold Dust. It was to serve, and it just became something that I didn't anticipate it becoming.
So there's a saying that I use quite a bit, and I got it from an uncle of mine, my godfather. He said it many, many years ago, and when I was younger, it meant something, and as I've gotten older and I've had kids and I've had death, the quote was, if you have a problem and money can fix it, it's not a problem.
That's right.
And really, what it meant to me was because he had a wife that was really sick. She was very thriving, and then she got sick, wheelchair bound. And here I was, sometimes worrying about things that didn't matter. And then my dad at the same time, and he told it to me, my dad. And it was one of those, again, when I was younger, it meant something. Now that I'm older and I worry about little things, and then I look back to, like you said, there's a lot of people going through a lot of different things all the time.
Right.
And so I'm always like same quote, if money can fix it, it's really not a problem.
That's right.
Because there's people out there who have unlimited money, but they can't fix their problem.
Well, there's another saying that says, when you're healthy, you don't think about your health.
No.
But when you're sick, it's
All
you
you think
about.
about.
That's powerful. It's really powerful.
And like you
it's
said,
so
everybody's
true.
living their life every single day. It's hard you don't want to live that way every single day. You don't want to live in that feeling, but there's people that do. And
Right.
that's why I think it's great that you do these things. And it started off with just helping them have a normalcy and expanding to what it is now.
It's so funny. I feel sometimes a bit undeserving because so many times, even you've done this to me, where you're like, you're just so great, and like all these wonderful things, nice things are being said to me, and I am only as good as people allow me to be and give me the opportunity to be. And I've just been given a great opportunity to love these ladies.
Sure.
And people will say that all the time, what makes your place different than somebody else's? Because there's lots of people doing what we do.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't pay attention to what they're doing first, but um, we love them. What makes you you? There's an endless list of things that make us individuals. But when somebody comes to you, similar for you looking for a home, they're they're looking to change something for themselves,
Sure. Their situation.
their situation. Maybe having a big home for their family makes them feel a certain way, right? These ladies come, maybe they want to change something visual about themselves because they don't like the way they're feeling. So my goal is to obviously give them whatever treatment they're inquiring about. But if I have 2 hours of their time, let me love them for 2 hours so that at the end of that 2 hours, they can see themselves how I see them, just even for a minute.
Hmm.
Not everybody is as lucky as we are. Not everybody has a spouse that loves them, that encourages them, and gives them all the alls. So many people are in terrible positions or in no position at all. And so it is important to really try to be that good person when you meet somebody, even when somebody's an ass, when you want to throat punch them. Believe me, that happens to me regularly. I feel that way. I wish I didn't, but I do. Um, that's life. It's important to remember, like, why are they acting like that?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason for it. I'm not saying accept bad behavior. Don't do that. But everybody's got a story, so we should all try to have a little bit more empathy and just be a little bit kinder to one
So
another.
y'all shop. Maybe I'm mistaken. It's been a while since I've been on airline, but
Yeah.
y'all have y'all's tattoo shop,
Right.
and then y'all have the new shop. Is it open?
Yeah,
It's open,
it
right?
is.
Like,
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it
yeah.
just open?
It did just open. That's a whole nother conversation. I don't even know if I want to say that
Well, we can
online.
talk
Like,
about whatever you
oh
want
man,
to.
it was
Just,
tough.
do you say?
Gino,
Well,
it
yeah.
was real
Do you
tough.
mean opening in that shop by itself,
I mean,
standalone? It's a brand
working.
new,
I mean,
beautiful building.
working with permitting
Oh
and
yeah,
contractors, and um, you know, so many people are trying to move forward while other people are like they're not.
yeah,
And so it was really like working a double-edged sword every single day for a year,
really.
and it was difficult, but here we are. We did
Well,
it.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you so
because I
much.
kept seeing
Yeah.
it. I kept seeing it.
Yeah, our grand opening is on February 17th, so
Awesome.
we're really super excited about that. I have so much respect for people who renovate, flip, try
It's
to.
well, as someone with
Oh, God
experience
damn.
on all aspects of that and being on TV, it's not what it looks like. it's not.
It's
It's
absolutely
not.
not what it
It's
looks
not.
like,
It's not
but
a 30-minute
nothing.
commercial. It's not a 30-minute commercial-driven episode where everything just works out. There's a lot of cost involved. There's a lot of headache involved, especially when you're dealing with older homes that weren't designed for what you're trying to do.
Right.
It's like, oh, do I just tear this down?
I mean, I think
What's
that's a
easier?
really good point, period. Like, nothing
Nothing as
in
easy as it
life
looks. Yeah,
is on that 30-minute episode that you just saw,
sure.
whatever that program is, right? Um, that's their job to make it look like it looks great in 30
Hmm.
minutes. And, that 30 minutes might have been 3 years in the making. Who
Sure.
knows? So, yeah, it was a difficult process and really um, it was a trying 12 months, but it worked out. It's near the end now, and we're here. And
What would you say, sis? This is basically your second family business. What
yeah,
would you say is a tip for anybody? And that's what I kind of like to give here. What is
yeah,
your biggest tip for anybody that runs a small business with their family? Because a lot of people sometimes might run it with just strangers or
yeah.
people they trust, but then a
I
lot of
think it's
times
such
it's
a gift. I mean, I'm so infinitely grateful to be able to work with my family
mhm,
every single day. Of course, there are days where it's like we have to remember, like, okay, so I'm still pissed about that, but
mhm.
now we're going to get to work. So let's get busy here. I mean, that's life, right? But if you think about, and I know you do because you're in the same situation I am, you think about what you're building.
Sure,
It it's not a business.
it's a legacy.
It is,
Well,
and so
if
I
you're
say it
putting your
all the
name
time.
on
I
it,
say it regularly. I say my husband is a legend, and he's building the legacy for our family, and it's just like it makes my heart swell, when I see my boys looking at their father and
Hmm.
like he's sharing some insight on a particular drawing and how to do this and what to do, and they're planning trips for us to be able to go abroad to learn different things. It's really powerful. My tip would be, invest in yourself.
Sure. Do you
you
mean
know
by training, just invest in health,
all of it.
everything?
In all of it, if we're not okay, your business isn't going to be okay. And so there are so many distractions,
Sure.
so many distractions. Steer clear of them. um, Comparison is a thief, and we
Hmm.
hear that all the time, like it will steal your joy and it will do all these, whatever the cliche saying is. And while it might be true, I just think that like in the immediate is, if you are spending any amount of time and you are focusing on what's happening to the left of you or to the right of you, you're missing in what's in front of you.
Sure.
I actually heard somebody say the other day, it was really kind of a profound thing. Every single one of us have opportunities in our lives. Every one of us. Are you paying attention to the opportunity, or does it pass you?
I think a lot of times, like you just said, when you're not paying attention to
That's
your
it.
journey and your path,
That's right.
yeah, you're going to pass it.
That's
That's
right.
your exit.
That's
And
right.
you're driving and you're looking at everybody else and how
That's
fast
right.
they're driving and what they're doing and
That's
where they're
exactly right.
stopping,
Yeah.
and you're going to miss it. I had to learn that very early on with real estate or
Mm-hmm.
with any small business. People are
Yep.
learn that early on because you want to be this person or you want to be doing what this person's doing or
Right.
these people are doing. And when I first started, I told Chris I want to do exactly what he's doing. He's like, I don't want you to do what I'm doing. Do you. Like, be you, because
That's
if you're
right.
trying to be me, you're just not going to work out.
It's not going to work.
Be you.
Yeah.
And as time's
The
gone
other
on,
thing
I
too
still have
is,
to do that.
well, the other thing is like, it's difficult because you want to be friendly and sometimes even friends with the people you work with, right? But it's very challenging because at the end of the day, you're running a business, and that works when everybody's on the same agenda.
Sure.
But the minute the variables change, there could potentially be issues. So it is just tough, but you're tougher, and that's what you have to hold on to.
I've told a lot of people this. Maybe you'll agree with me. Tattoo shops to me, as the years have gone on, and the more I've spent time in them, and the more I've seen them, the more I realized, because my dad owned hair salons,
Mm-hmm.
and so with hair
Mm-hmm.
salons, it was a little bit of the same environment where you get people, they come in, they do their thing, they grow clientele,
Mm-hmm.
and then they say, what do they say? I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure y'all have seen people
Yeah.
that do that. I go, hair salons are very like tattoo shops.
Yeah.
There can be sometimes drama
Yeah.
involved and egos
Yeah.
and a lot of stuff that people really don't think about. Have you dealt with that?
So, I am so fortunate. We opened Pinnacle in 2007.
Hmm.
Jeremy Stewart has been with us since 2008.
Awesome.
And then William and Lucas are our new people with over 10 years with us.
Hmm.
So my husband has cultivated this mothership of magic. There isn't drama.
Good.
There isn't any of that because it's intolerable.
Hmm.
Excuse me, it's intolerable. There's no reason for it. Like if there's a problem, you discuss it and move on. They've got that machine so oiled now that it is what it is.
Good.
Women are a little different. That's the truth of it. Women are a little bit different. And you're right, exactly what you said. Like, oh, okay, I've been doing this now for a while, so I'm going to do my own thing.
Hmm.
On one hand, it's amazing because you're like, yes, you should. You
Go
should go
for it. Yeah.
thrive. You should go do this. And on the other hand, it's like you almost sometimes feel like, wow, I just taught you how to do this, and now
Now you want to leave?
you're going to leave.
Hmm.
Okay, great. So at first, the first time that happened to me, it stung. Like it really, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I guess because it hadn't happened with my husband in that regard. I just
Right,
didn't
right.
really even
No way
think
this could
about it
happen. Yeah.
happening. Yeah. So it took me a minute, but then the truth was I had to really pay attention to, why did that person want to leave?
Sure.
Well, it was more than she just wanted to do her own thing. There was like I had a role in that, and maybe I wasn't as good to her as I should have been, or maybe I was and it just didn't work out, whatever. But you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be able to look at a situation for what it is and take your role in it and acknowledge it. And if there was wrongdoing, make it right and thrive forward, right? Um, that doesn't always
Work out that way.
get to work out that way. Or maybe you don't get an opportunity to do something about it. I don't know. Um, I feel really fortunate. We just had our team meeting this morning. We, I feel like you can't lead without being the example,
Sure.
you know? And so if I'm not willing to say, hey, throw at me everything, did I say something? Did I do something? Am I not doing something? Am I giving you the tools that you need to succeed? Am I providing you with an environment that is safe and healthy and all of these things? If I'm not doing that, then I'm failing them.
Yeah.
How can I expect for them to succeed for me? Right? You can't. And so it really gives an opportunity to have those conversations. For small businesses, I feel like that's a luxury. You get to have those conversations where you get to learn and
Sure.
grow if you're willing to do that.
Well, there's not for the kind of business that you're running. There's not like there's not a blueprint necessarily that works
Right.
for everybody, especially
No,
when
and in
you're
fact,
dealing with.
how I operate would not work for many.
Yeah.
In fact, when I opened Gold Dust, I kid you not, my husband said to me, "This is not a good idea." And
Really.
I said, "Really? Why? Why?" And he said, "I don't think you're going to work well with women." And I said, "I'm really insulted. I was actually pissed." And he said,
Do you
"You
mean women like
no."
coworkers or women clientele?
He said, "You think like a dude. You work like a dude. Don't
I think
come
that's I
crying.
think that's the kind of boss that is a woman you would want.
Like, don't, if somebody, you have like, don't come crying. Don't come do it. Like, get your shit together. Come to work, you work. People are paying you for a job, you give them that. If you have a problem, then leave it at the door, right? So I've had to like kind of soften up a little bit with that. And when my girls hear this, they're gonna laugh and think, soften. Oh my God, how bad was she, right? Like, what a bitch. I just feel like business is business
Sure.
and feelings are feelings and all the things. And I know, like, we're living in a modern time where it's like, be in tune with your feelings at work and all of this kind of good stuff,
No,
whatever.
then you'll end
Like,
up like the people that worked at Twitter.
honestly, honestly. So, I mean, really, whatever works for somebody else is none of my business.
Sure.
I just know what works for me. And for me, it's very clear. I see business as business, and I don't see it as a place of like, gosh, my feelings are hurt today because you rolled your eyes at me. Like, bitch, move on. Just go. Go. It's silly, right? It's like there's real problems at hand. Or there's real people who need us. Like, get to work. I don't know. So, anyway, I was a little perturbed with my husband for saying something like that.
Has he
And
changed
now,
his mind since then?
no, hell no. We
He still
laugh all
hasn't
the
changed his
time.
mind?
We laugh all the time because he's like, how was your day today? Because I'll be like,
He's ready for it.
ooh, oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I've had to learn a lot about myself, and I've had to learn how to work, with people. I really didn't ever work with women is the thing. I worked in the legal field and I worked with all men. And then I was at a tattoo shop with all men. And so I can be really crass and crude, and I don't think anything of a joke that's inappropriate. I laugh. I don't feel like offended by it. And so I really had to refine myself, and that was for the better. That needed to happen, I guess. So I feel grateful that
Awesome.
yeah, I've been in this position. So
So you messaged me. What's the last week? What's this
I
event
did.
you have
Okay,
going
so
on?
so here's the
Because
thing.
I love that there's a lot. If I can just
Yeah.
say one thing, there's a lot of strong women that have been reaching out to me the last couple of months about, hey, I want to go on and talk about this more than men.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't know if it's just men are too hard-headed, where they're like, I don't need it. I'm good. I do it on my own. But I felt like,
Oh hell,
I
I
think
need
it's
all the
not.
help.
I think it's nice. Like I
Yeah.
love it because I'm. This is anybody can come on the show for
Right.
anything.
And so, you and I have known each other for quite a while, and then like just through social media, I've been able to like get snippets into each other's
Sure.
lives. And so when I saw that you had this podcast, I was like, I could really use your help. And so I did contact you. Every year, the American Heart Association has a campaign, and it is for the Women of Impact for the
Hmm.
Go Red. And your role is for a 9-week period of time to raise both awareness and funds
Got it.
benefiting the American Heart Association. And when I was asked to be a part of this last year, immediately my thought was no, because I was building the
Sure.
studio, right? And then when they told me the time frame, I thought, you know what? Yes, I can do this. And so I'm coming at a disadvantage. I'm not as educated as I need to be for heart health,
Hmm.
but I'm committed to learning and sharing. And so my take is a little bit different. There are some really fantastic events that have been done for years that benefit the Heart Association, and one is the Heart Ball, and that's a pretty prominent event here in town. Beautifully done, well attended, it's fabulous. The disadvantage to that singular event, in my opinion, is it hits a demographic.
Hmm.
The table's $5,000.
Whoa.
Well, that it's a significant amount. It's a huge success too. But there's also people like us who are the workhorses of the community, and we still want to be a part of something. I just don't want to pay $5,000 to sit
Sure.
at a table and wear shoes that pinch my toes. I want to have some fun and maybe eat some food and do some things. So I've reached out to my contemporaries and have been very well received. And so Natalie Trevino with the Ruffian.
Hmm. Oh my God.
I
We
know,
went right before Christmas.
amazing.
Whew.
Delicious, right? Well, so she has graciously given to me the room where we're going to sell 30 tickets,
Hmm.
$200 a piece. She's going to teach us how to cook a heart healthy meal.
Oh, really?
We're going to enjoy the meal, take home the recipes, and just have an evening of fun together. So
When is
that's one of our
what are the
events.
details? When is that coming up?
That is, I
Feel free.
believe, let me double check
So you
here,
said
but
you
I
have
think
9 weeks. So it start. When
yeah,
is this?
it's
When
in
does all the
it.
events start?
It is in the first event is February 7th.
Okay.
The Ruffian is going to be March 4th, though.
Okay.
It's Saturday, March 4th. The first event is an art show at Space,
Okay.
which is right down
Yeah.
the street here. Yeah, and so that event is.
You mean
I'll
Rana's
be,
place?
yeah,
Space? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
We used to office out of there for a little bit.
Really?
Hmm.
I actually went there last night for a event, and there's so many beautiful pieces in there.
Hmm.
I was really not that I was surprised, but I was surprised that I loved as much as I did. It was a pretty awesome space. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have 12 artists, some from Corpus, of course, and then beyond, and they've all painted something heart related. Like my
Sure.
husband's painting a Sacred Heart on a red leather jacket,
Awesome.
and Christian's painting a tiger with a heart on a Louis Vuitton bag. And so like there's different things, and all of those items will be for sale.
Sweet. I want
And
to see that Louis Vuitton bag.
yeah, it's pretty epic. All the funds for every event that we're doing will go to the Heart Association.
Hmm.
So that one's on February 7th. And
The
then,
art. Okay.
yes, on February 26th, Stacy Ritchie, who owns Water Dog Paddleboarding,
Hmm.
she and I have joined forces to do a yoga and brunch.
Have you done that? I've seen them post the photos, and I've always wanted to go
It
down
is
there.
so hard.
Really?
It is
Did you
such a
fall
good
off?
workout. It's such a good workout. I didn't fall off, but it's not to say I couldn't fall off
I
for
think
sure.
I'd wait till the water's a little warmer, and then I'll try it, because I know I'm going to fall off.
Yeah. That's not to say I haven't fallen off before, but in that particular instance, no.
So what's happening with that?
So on the 26th at the Corpus Christi Yacht Club, we're going to have yoga on the exterior, the veranda, and then brunch. And those tickets will be $150. And again, going to the Heart Association. Meadowbrook Shopping Center, I'm really, really pleased at the reception I've received from them.
Which one's Meadowbrook? Give me the staple
Meadowbrook
store.
is at what's where Elena is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's where Sobonita
Right off of
and
Alameda.
where Natalie and Shop Lark. Kelly has just been such a really, really nice lady. She is one of the founders at Shop Lark, and she has been so receptive to like facilitating whatever you need. Let's just be, join forces. Let's make some magic happen that will benefit the greater good,
Yeah.
right? And so we haven't set up the dates yet, but there's going to be like a day of shopping in the Meadowbrook Plaza, and that will allow for proceeds from that day to go to the Heart Association as
So that's 3
well.
events already.
Those are the 3 events, and then Orange Theory has also partnered with me, and we're going to do an event. The details for that haven't quite come to fruition yet.
At their studio.
Yes.
Cool.
And then Kiko's has agreed. Kiko's Mexican food. I know, right?
Yeah, you got me on that one.
They for sure. they have. They've graciously donated a space for Brittany's Diva Drag Show. They're going to do a show
cool.
for us, so I'm excited about this too. So. There are lots of things that are happening by all kinds of women, like you said, that are a part of this. I think there are maybe 6 of us that are doing different events. So I think that it's almost impossible to not be a part of the greater good and participate in something to benefit somebody else.
For sure. And have fun. And get
right,
out
right.
and do things and meet new people.
Right. And then I'll also have some raffle items, and I have 2, what is it called? The end zone? I'm not football
that?
savvy. It's a football game for Kansas City. I have 2 tickets for
okay.
one of their games for raffle. And then I have the Austin Opera. I have Pinnacle Tattoo and Gold Dust and Drunken Noodle and Smoothie King and Shoot Your Photography and So Bonita. Orange Theory, Dust My Face.
These are all
Alpha.
auction items? Or
Yeah,
okay.
and everybody, I tell you, Gino, I'm like, my heart has just swelled with appreciation because everybody, before I even finish my sentence, is like, whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you need.
Whatever you need.
I'm like, can I donate a house?
Right. I mean, no. I think that I should know better because you put yourself in a circle of like-minded individuals, but it's really heartwarming, no pun intended, when you reach to your peers and you don't really even need to ask. They just
And sometimes
say,
that's all it takes for a lot of people. It takes that one say, hey, I got the keys, get in, let's go.
Yeah.
And someone's like, oh, I was kind of waiting for something.
right.
I didn't know what to do.
Right. Well, sometimes we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do.
Well, that's why I was saying
and
we're
that's
looking
the honest
for more.
truth. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but we're going to figure it out together.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a good time, and we're going to make a little bit of money, and it's going to go to the greater good.
We'll put links for all this stuff, but if anybody was
you.
just like, hey, I'm on Facebook and I looked her up, is it on your personal Facebook or where do you have all these
I
things?
haven't shared anything because technically tomorrow is the day that they're announcing who the Women of Impact are for 2023. So I haven't really shared anything. But once that announcement has been made, then I will share what events are happening and how you can register to participate.
We're going to do a little time traveling. When this episode comes out,
Yeah.
it'll be like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it'll be right
There you
in
go.
it. So you can just go ahead and say
Well,
it.
which is exactly why I reached out to you because
Yeah.
I knew that that would be the case. I didn't really think you would be able to fit me in so quickly. So I'm so grateful for that. Thank you.
We're pretty easy.
I heard that about you. So in the past life. So I feel like this will be a catalyst to share and reach a different demographic that maybe
sure.
I wouldn't have been able to reach. So I'm
Well, I
very
think,
appreciative.
I
Thank
think
you.
people see it, and like I said, as I get older, I start to notice things a little differently. When you're younger, you're having fun, you're going out. You know, people are going to these galas and these things and these events, and you see it, you're like, what is that for? Like,
Right.
I just want to go have a drink and meet people.
Yeah.
But as you get older, like you said, you start to find your circle of, hey, you're giving back. I want to give back. Like I want to help too. What can I do?
Right.
And here it is. And
But it
and
is
make
daunting
it
too. You know, you want to participate in something to give back. Where do you even begin?
easy. Sure.
Right. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate people who are maybe a little bit unsure. You just make a phone call. Make one phone call to, maybe your local city office and find out what's an area of concern in my community. And from there.
I saw that on the news a couple of days ago, and it was talking about the homeless and really focusing on people. And the reason I bring this up is I saw people making like these little, they're called like survival bags. And the news was talking about it too, and it just kind of seemed like it's going hand in hand. They're talking about people that don't reach out for help, but still need it. And that was a big thing recently in the news as well. And there's so many different things. You just call in the city. The lady that was talking on the news said, hey, this is what we need right now. And, you tell she was happy that the news was covering it because they probably don't get a lot of coverage. They don't get a lot of help. Or maybe within their circle, they don't have a way to really put the word out.
Yeah. Yeah. The girls and I were talking about what 2023 looks like to us. And we pulled out the calendar yesterday, and every single month now through December is allocated for something.
Good.
And towards the end of the year is when people always think about the volunteering. But what happens in
The
the
other
other
months
8 months
when
of
everybody's
the
on summer
year
vacation and
when,
spring break, yeah.
right, right, everybody's, worried about the tan lines. And I mean, that's fine too. It's live your life, right? But people are living every day in circumstances, some much worse than our own and some better. But if you have the ability to be able to be a participant in aiding somebody, why wouldn't we?
Sure.
Right? That's always, I don't know. That's just, I think for me, that's really what my adult life has become is how can I be a part of the greater good? And I feel so lucky to be in a position to be a part of something that's helping another individual in any capacity. Um, I mean, lucky us. Lucky us.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have ever thought? I mean, really considering, much of like teenaged angst and adolescent.
I think a lot of my life, I've always just wanted to look cool. And then
Yeah.
after a while, it's like, no, that's not
Yeah.
what cool is. My
Yeah.
definition of cool has changed over the years quite a bit.
That's from being a spouse and a
Sure.
parent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
For
like
me,
none of that other stuff matters. It's just
none
this.
none of it matters. Yeah, isn't it interesting though how you evolve as a human being through the course of nurturing another human
Oh,
being?
100%. Everything
Wild.
changes.
Well, it does.
Every
It
single
does.
little
Yeah.
thing changes.
I have a grandson who's going to be 2 in February, and life's perspective, it's indescribable. I'm sure your mother says the same thing.
Oh, sure.
You know,
It's like deja vu. It's like,
you
here we
know,
go
I
again.
had an experience witnessing my son nurture his son, and he and Sierra, Christian and Sierra, are amazing parents. Luca was just kind of doing something as a toddler does, and I heard my son say, "Those are really big feelings. You should feel those."
Everything's new. That's why. Every little feeling's big when you're a baby.
And then he said, "Let's redirect. Instead of telling him, no, don't do that, no, we're not going here, or just no in general," there was definitely a sense of direction, but he wanted him to be able to deduct, to start thinking for himself. And, tears welled up in my eyes because I thought, I wasn't that good. I wasn't. I
With
said,
him.
no, you're not doing
Yeah.
that, right? But you only ever want for your children to be better than you. And so I looked at my husband and I just like, somehow we managed to create this beautiful human being who's nurturing an even
Another one.
better one, It's amazing. It's amazing. And then I have my baby, gentle giant Carson, who, he'll be at dinner with his friends and see a woman sitting alone eating dinner, and he'll pick his plate up, say goodbye to his friends, and go walk over to the table and ask to join her so she doesn't eat alone. I don't know how I did
It's like,
that.
I wouldn't do that.
I don't know how I did that. I have no idea how I did that.
I think by growing as a person and growing over time.
I think through trial and error and through evolution of wrongdoings, like you're not always making the right choices. You're not always saying the right things. And, I lack patience sometimes, and all the negative things. We all have a list of them, right? And so once you're really prepared to be honest with yourself and like figure out, okay, how am I going to become a better version of me? I think that's when you really start living a better life for yourself.
And realizing we have every day to do that.
Every day.
Every day.
Until we don't. So give it your best, right? Yeah.
This is a good one.
Pretty good.
Tina, I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks again for allowing
of
me an
course.
opportunity to talk about the Heart Association
We'll get all the
as
details
well.
out there for all
Yeah,
the
I
events.
really appreciate you. I didn't even think about talking about the businesses. How funny is that? I'm like,
You
hey,
know,
okay, yeah, that's
we do this
secondary.
just kind of
Yeah.
off the cuff.
Yeah.
And I had Alan Holt here one time, and his biggest disappointment was, I didn't get to talk about the weather.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we don't have to.
Yeah. I love talking about my businesses. I do, but I also love everything else
For sure.
too. So thank
Well,
you
you
for this
definitely
opportunity.
bring something to the table. That's what
Thank
this
you.
is all about.
Thank
If you
you.
could, before you leave, and it
Yeah.
has to be super cool because I'm going to judge you and everybody else is going to judge you if it's not something super cool. If you could take, let's take this one. It's for red, for heart. And if you can just sign our table for us, that'd be great.
All right.
We appreciate you.
I will. Thank you so much. I
Thank you, Tina.
appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.